The Esprit is not a well-known car. Everybody knows what it is, or car guys know what it is, but they don't actually know much about it. It's kind of a mystery. My initial reaction was probably like a lot of people's, which is, oh, there's probably a reason why I never see them. None of them made it this far. In British sports car, it's gotta be a mechanical nightmare. I heard that they're not even that good. They're probably not that fast. You know, all the excuses. But the more you learn about the Esprit and its history and the way it was designed, then the more you learn to respect it. It was designed by Colin Chapman and Giugiaro of Untitled Design, initially in 1971 as a concept of one of the first examples of Giugiaro's wedge shape or folded paper shape, which lasted for the next 15 years. And it was a combination of that styling with Colin Chapman's philosophy of adding lightness. By keeping the weight light and the design simple, you can do more with less. My particular Esprit was redesigned in '87 by Peter Stevens, who went on to pin the body for the McLaren F1. One of the coolest things about the car is that Lotus designed a technique for creating the body that used injection molding, not just fiberglass, but they also use Kevlar and Nomex in places to strengthen the body. It's essentially a monocoque made out of two pieces, like a clamshell, that are glued, bonded together. So the body of the car itself becomes one piece. It's incredibly strong and incredibly light, and was really revolutionary considering this is taking place in the mid-'80s, and replicates what current exotic carbon car manufacturers do today to create their tubs. When I got the car, it just looked absolutely terrible. It originally had been red, and at some point in its life, it had been painted dark British racing green, very poorly, and with a thick, super sticky paint. It literally took months of almost full-time sanding because it would instantly clog up the sandpaper. It went through so much sandpaper, so many man-hours. I had a car that was probably never going to be in a truly original state again, and that gave me permission in my mind to do a few things to it, which the original designer wouldn't be upset with, hopefully. I think in the end, if I can save a car from going to the dump or being parted out, then it's excusable if it's not painted the original color or has wheels from 5 years later. The way that I design our carbon bikes is by starting with a clay model, not unlike the way auto designers do. Interestingly enough, one of our latest models I was designing at the same time that I was working on the Esprit. And they kind of started to blend together into one. And if you look at the new bike, I think that you can probably see a little Esprit in there. There's definitely signs of the connection between the two. Light blue is kind of our thing. Like, we love light blue and we paint a lot of bikes that color. You don't see a lot of cars this color, but I don't think that it's too wild or too obnoxious. And I don't think it's a color that they wouldn't have painted at Esprit at the time, if I can put it that way. The interior is really beautiful. I didn't want to change the stock look of the interior, but I wanted to try to save weight where possible. I replaced the window motors and regulators with a really simple pull strap system that probably isn't for everybody, but it takes a lot of weight out of the car, and it's really trouble-free. I don't have to worry about motor failing like somewhere on the highway in traffic at, when it's 100 degrees in Southern California, which is a true story, and inspired me to rip the motors out. Taking weight out of the car where I could really actually helps the performance in a surprisingly noticeable way, because the car doesn't have a lot of power. This particular model is non-intercooled and only produces about 220 horsepower, but In 1989, it was enough to bring the car to 60 miles an hour in about 5 seconds. It's a pretty civilized ride. It's not too harsh, but when I'm struggling to drive in the city, that very fact is reminding me of how it yearns to be driving faster. It yearns to be taking corners faster. It yearns for higher speeds. It yearns for higher RPM. And maybe it makes me feel a little guilty to putter around to the grocery store, but it can handle that too. I'm sure that there are some people who might hate it. I posted a picture of it on this Esprit Facebook group months ago, and almost immediately a German guy completely destroyed it and was totally disgusted. But I can say that most Esprit lovers actually really love the car because they understand the story of it, that it couldn't have been taken back to its original state, and that I haven't done anything to it that dishonors the mark. When people approach the car, pretty often they don't know what it is. They think it's a Ferrari, or they say it looks like a Lamborghini or a Fiero. And if someone actually knows that it's the Lotus Esprit, I'm really proud of them and want to give them a high five.